Rhiannon. Rhiannon and Pryderi, fleeing the king and his knights, rode like the wind through the stormy woods.
Come on, Becca!
Rhiannon did everything she could to evade them, but she couldn't lose her pursuers. Finally, Rhiannon rode into the sacred meadow. She jumped off of Becca. She turned to Pryderi.
Go. Take Becca and hide in the hills. It's me they want, not you.
I won't leave you, Mother!
You must. I'm about to do something terrible.
Rhiannon strode over to the sacred tree in the center of the meadow. She reached into her garb and pulled out a knife.
What are you doing?
Rhiannon didn't answer. She took her knife and carved a strange symbol on the sacred tree. Then she took the blade and cut open her palm. Then she dripped her blood on the strange, twisted symbol. Pryderi suddenly realized what she was doing.
You're calling up a curse. You can't, Mother. Black magic is forbidden. You can't control it. It's too dangerous.
We have no choice. They'll burn the woods to cinder and kill us all. It's the only weapon I've got left.
Just then, King Edward and his knights burst into the sacred meadow. They surrounded Rhiannon and Pryderi.
Thy game is over, witch. Renounce Satan, repent your sins, and I'll see you get a proper Christian burial.
To hell with you and your bloody church. You don't even know who God is.
Rhiannon turned to the symbols she had carved in the sacred tree and began an incantation.
She's casting a spell. Stop her!
Sir Cullen leapt off his horse and charged Rhiannon, but Pryderi rushed forward with his sword and stopped him. They fought briefly before Sir Cullen knocked Pryderi aside. Sir Cullen tried to grab Rhiannon, but she whirled around and raised her hand. Sir Cullen was thrown backwards by an unseen force. Just then, Rhiannon said the final words of her curse. The blood she had put on the altar dripped into the grooves of the symbols she had carved. Suddenly, it burst into flames. Rhiannon's eyes rolled back in her head. Her skin turned pale. Her beautiful blonde hair turned jet black. Rhiannon's feet rose off the ground, and she started to float in the air. The sacred tree turned black. Then suddenly, it grew tentacle-like branches and roots. Pryderi saw what was happening. He looked terrified.
Mother, no!
Pryderi tried to reach out for his mother, but one of the black tentacle-like branches of the tree shot out and knocked him away. Rhiannon twisted around in the air, moving like a writhing snake. She had a malevolent look on her face, as if she was possessed.
My God!
God won't save you now.
Protect the king!
The knights fired their crossbows at Rhiannon, but their bolts burst into flame and disintegrated in mid-flight. Suddenly, the tentacle-like branches of the sacred tree began grabbing the stone slabs of the circle formation. They hurled them at the English knights, crushing several of them.
You fools! You play at war like children. Now you shall know the true darkness. Death and despair will be your fate!
Suddenly, Rhiannon let out a piercing scream. The sacred tree cracked in half. A churning black smoke vomited out of it. The black vapor wafted over a knight. Instantly his skin turned pale and was covered with oozing black sores. The knight let out a scream and dropped dead. Everything the black vapor touched immediately rotted and died. King Edward and his remaining knights turned to flee, but his horse reared up and stumbled. It fell. King Edward was thrown to the ground. The locket, given to him by Queen Anne, broke and fell from his neck. King Edward looked up and saw the black vapor was almost upon him. But just then, suddenly, Sir Cullen appeared. He grabbed King Edward and pulled him onto his horse. They took off, riding hard with the surviving knights, and made their escape from the sacred meadow. However, the black vapor enveloped the king's locket. The metal turned to dust, and the lock of Queen Anne's fair hair morphed into a black ooze. Rhiannon, still in the throes of her possession, laughed at the carnage.
At the end of the world, I'll bring death and ruin to all of you.
Then, suddenly, Rhiannon's eyes returned to normal.
No! What's happening to me? No! Stop!
She regained control of herself. The black vapor stopped pouring out of the sacred tree. The tentacle-like branches suddenly went limp and crumbled to dust. Rhiannon fell to the ground and laid there, not moving. Pryderi stumbled over to her.
Mother!
He held Rhiannon in his arms. Her eyes fluttered open for a brief moment. She looked up at her son with a pained expression.
I'm so sorry.
Rhiannon passed out. Pryderi felt her neck. She was still alive. But just then, lightning struck a nearby tree. Lightning began to strike all over the sacred meadow. Pryderi looked around desperately for shelter. He spotted the entrance to a small cave at the meadow's edge. Pryderi lifted his mother into his arms and staggered over to it. Pryderi entered the cave and laid Rhiannon on the ground. But suddenly, the earth started to tremble. Pryderi staggered back from his mother. Just then, the roof of the cave collapsed. Pryderi was thrown backwards. He tumbled out of the cave and landed back in the sacred meadow as a small landslide came down and covered the entrance to the cavern. Pryderi jumped to his feet and started pounding on the rock and earth.
Mother!
But the entrance to the cave was sealed. Meanwhile, at that very moment, hundreds of miles away, in the Tower of London, Prince Jon, dressed in a nightshirt, made his way through the dark corridors of the castle, carrying a candle. He heard coughing and desperate crying.
Mother?
Help me!
Mother! I'm coming!
Prince Jon ran to his mother's bedroom chamber. He burst through the door, but stopped in horror. His mother, Queen Anne, was on her bed, clutching her throat. Her beautiful face was covered with oozing black sores. Blood was coming out of her mouth and eyes. It was Rhiannon's curse.
Oh my god! Mother!
Queen Anne reached out for him. Her eyes were filled with terror. She tried to say something, but she couldn't speak. Suddenly, she collapsed on her bed and died.
Mother!
Prince Jon rushed to her side and held his mother in his arms as tears rolled down his face.
Someone help us! Mother! No!
Prince Jon's cries of anguish and despair echoed away through the castle. And so it was. The 10 long years passed from the events of that terrible night. But as the months and years went by, gradually, memory turned into legend. And although Rhiannon was not forgotten, the woods were silent. They rang of her songs no more, as she slept silently, deep within her mountain tomb. That is, until one fine spring day, when 2 boys, Ellis and Owen, stole up to the sacred meadow to have a look for themselves.
There it is. That's where the witch is buried.
Just looks like an ordinary pile of rocks to me.
They say there's a cave beneath it. Rhiannon lies within in a deep, endless sleep. If you listen closely, you'll hear her snoring.
The other boy started to laugh.
Aye. If you think it's all a lark, then go up there. Go on, I dare you.
Fine, but you have to do my chores for a whole month.
Owen considered the proposition.
Fair crap.
They spit on their hands and shook to seal the deal. Ellis walked over to where the landslide had covered the entrance to the cavern. He put his ear to the rocks, listening, but he didn't hear a thing. Growing bolder, he pulled a rock free from the side of the hill and tapped the wall of rocks.
Hello? Anyone in there?
There was no response. He tapped harder.
Hello? Miss Witch, are you home?
That's enough. We should go.
Come on, let's give her one more tap.
Ellis took hold of another rock that was stuck on the side of the hill. He gave it a good hard yank and pulled it free. This stone, however, was a linchpin. As soon as it came loose, the whole pile of rocks started coming down.
Whoa! Look out! Oh!
Ellis jumped out of the way as the hillside gave way, causing a mini landslide. After the rocks settled, Owen looked at him.
You all right?
Right as rain. Whoa! Will you look at that?
They looked up and saw that the mini landslide had uncovered the whole hillside, exposing small holes in the dark cave beyond.
See, I told you there was a cave behind it.
Let's have a look.
Oh, be careful.
Ellis leaned up against the hillside and peered into a small hole that had opened up, but all he saw inside the cave was darkness.
What'd you see?
Nothing. Just darkness. See, I told you it was all...
Suddenly, a purple glowing eye appeared in the hole, staring back at him. Just then, the front entrance to the cave was blown away by an unseen force. Ellis landed on his backside. To his astonishment, Rhiannon stepped forward through the hole she'd made. She hadn't aged a day, but she looked frightful. She was covered with dirt and cobwebs. Her nails were long as claws, and her filthy clothes were in tatters. The boys let out a scream. Owen ran off in terror through the woods. Ellis tried to crawl away, but Rhiannon reached down and grabbed him. She pulled him up to her face.
But please, Ma'am, I'm so sorry for waking you. Don't eat me.
Rhiannon looked him up and down with a menacing expression. She opened her mouth as if she intended to bite him, but she merely let out a big yawn.
Excuse me. I'm still a wee bit tired.
Ellis wrinkled his nose and made a face.
Your breath smells like shit and death.
Rhiannon breathed into her own hand. She smelled her breath and made a face.
Ugh, you're right. I've been asleep for what feels like ages. Tell me, boy, what year is it?
It's 1287.
A cloud passed over Rhiannon's face.
10 years gone by? May the spirits have mercy on me.
What are you going to do with me, Miss Witch? Please don't turn me into something unnatural, like a slime slug.
That depends. Tell me, are you English or Welsh?
Welsh, of course. To hell with the bloody English.
Rhiannon smiled.
I like you.
A short time later, Ellis stood by as Rhiannon knelt by a stream. She saw her reflection in the water and made a face.
So you're the real Rhiannon, eh? That's something, all right.
Rhiannon splashed some water in her face and rubbed the dirt and cobwebs off.
You heard of me?
Of course. Everyone talks about you. The minstrels even written songs about you. My parents always said that you'd be coming back one day to help us.
Tell me, who rules Wales now?
The English are always making trouble, but King Llewellyn has formed up an alliance of all the loyal lords to hold them off. He stands firm as bedrock.
And what of my son, Pryderi?
You mean Prince Pryderi? He left these parts long ago. He's gone off to serve as first knight for his uncle King Aldith.
Rhiannon thought about that. She looked both happy and sad. She wiped her face clean and looked at Ellis.
How do I look now?
Still terrible, miss. No offence.
I need a brush and some scissors. And a hot meal. I haven't eaten in 10 years. I'm famished.
You can come to our home for dinner. I'm sure my parents would love to meet you.
Rhiannon nodded.
Sounds like a plan. Let's be off then.
A short time later, Ellis pointed to a small farm that lay just beyond the outside of the forest.
There's my home. Come on.
Ellis started leading the way. Rhiannon followed him. But after she took a few steps beyond the forest, suddenly she felt strange. She made a face and grabbed her stomach. Rhiannon's hand started to shake uncontrollably. She clutched it and tucked it inside her blouse, hiding it from Ellis. Rhiannon turned quickly around and stumbled back into the woods. Once she was inside the border of the trees, her strength returned.
What is it, Miss Rhiannon? You all right?
Yes, love, I'm just a bit fatigued from a long nap. I think I need to rest a while.
No worries. I'll fetch you some food, scissors, and some clothes.
Thanks, boy.
Ellis trotted off. Rhiannon took her hand out from inside her blouse. It had oozing sores, and black veins pulsated underneath her pale skin. Gradually, the affliction faded away, and her hand returned to normal. Rhiannon stared at her hand, looking deeply concerned.
What's happening to me?
Meanwhile, at that very moment, hundreds of miles away, in the Tower of London, King Edward sat on his throne, brooding as he gave an audience to a messenger from the Welsh King Llewellyn. Sir Cullen, John Peckham, and Prince Jon, now a handsome, intelligent young man, stood at King Edward's side.
Your Majesty, I regret to inform you that my lord, King Llewellyn of Wales, declines your invitation to come to London to meet with you. If your Majesty wishes to negotiate a settlement to our outstanding land disputes, he is most welcome to come to Wales to discuss the matter in person.
A murmur of anger went through the court. John Peckham was beside himself.
The insolence! You can tell your so-called king that no one refuses an invitation from the King of England.
But King Edward raised a hand, stopping John Peckham's rant.
Tell your sovereign I cannot come in person, but I shall send my trusted adviser, the esteemed Archbishop of Canterbury, John Peckham, to meet with him forthwith.
Aye, my lord.
John Peckham looked shocked. The Welsh messenger bowed and exited the room.
Sire, I must admit that I'm perhaps a bit befuddled. I'm honored, of course, to represent the crown, but I'm curious as to why you're allowing these Welsh dogs to set the terms of our negotiation.
I have my reasons. Now go. Make haste and prepare for your journey.
John Peckham bowed to King Edward and left the room, leaving King Edward alone with Sir Cullen and Prince Jon. Sir Cullen turned to the king.
Sire, I'm not sure I quite understand either. Why send that pompous fool to conduct negotiations with the Welsh? It's certain he will fail.
Exactly. My vassal lords will nigh support a major campaign without some pretext. Therefore, we shall hide our knives and wait for Llewellyn to draw his.
Sir Cullen smiled.
You are as cunning as a serpent, my lord.
Thank you.
But just then, young Prince Jon stepped forward.
And what of Rhiannon?
King Edward turned. His expression grew dark.
What of her? She's long dead and gone to hell.
Perhaps not. You've seen the message sent by our spies this morn, haven't you? Rumours are swirling in the wilds of Dyfed that she's returned.
It's idle country gossip. Nothing more. Pay it no heed.
We need to be certain, Father. If that conjurer yet lives, she's a threat to all our plans. More pressing, however, she needs to pay for what she did to Mother.
My soul burns for vengeance as much as yours. You lost a mother, but I I lost the only woman I'll ever love.
King Edward walked over to the window and stared out for a moment.
Were I just a common man, I'd go to Wales and hunt her down myself. But I'm not just a grieving husband, am I? Nay, I'm the king, and you're a prince. We must be disciplined. We can't jump at every rumour that finds our ears.
Then send me to Wales to investigate. If indeed Rhiannon lives, I'll give her the righteous justice she deserves. So God help me.
You? Go as a spy? Don't be ridiculous. You don't even speak their bloody language.
Rhiwen seriad. Rhiwe fue de estudion galed. Gida finitoriad iberfetio. I do speak it. I've studied hard with my tutors to perfect it.
A look of shock washed across King Edward's face. He looked at Sir Cullen.
Did you know of this?
Sir Cullen shrugged. Perhaps.
It's still no good, lad. These Welsh bastards' ears are sharp as whetted knives. If they hear the slightest fail, they'll hang you on the spot.
But that's just it, Father. I don't want them to think I'm Welsh. It's better they believe I comprehend little of their heathen tongue. Then they'll speak more freely. I intend to pose as a shipwrecked Irish trader. I'll get them to take me in, gain their trust. All the while, I'll be watching and listening till I get to the bottom of things.
King Edward considered the plan. Finally, he nodded.
It's a solid plan. Well done, son. But still, I'm afraid I can't let you go.
Why?
Because you're the Prince of England, the heir to the bloody throne. We can't risk you being killed or taken hostage. But I like your plan. Fear not. I'll send my best man in your place.
Father, don't deny me this. Mother died in my arms. Let me do right by her memory. Please. I'm begging you, as a son to his father, let me avenge her.
King Edward stared into his son's eyes.
I'm sorry.
King Edward turned and left. Sir Cullen patted Prince Jon on the arm and followed the king out of the room. Prince Jon stood for a moment. Then he smashed all the food and plates off a nearby table in frustration. He buried his face in his hands. Then, he looked up at his mother's empty throne, with tears in his eyes. Suddenly, a look of determination washed across his face. A plan had formed in his head. He picked a dagger off the floor and headed out of the room. Later that eve, a pale moon hung over the castle. It was late now. London slept. Suddenly a dark figure moved out of the shadows atop a horse. They were wearing a dark cloak to hide their appearance. It was Prince Jon. He galloped away from the Tower of London and disappeared into the night. A short time later, inside the king's bedroom chambers, Sir Cullen, holding a torch, pounded on the king's door.
Who's there?
Sir Cullen, sire!
Moments later, the door opened. King Edward peered out wearing a robe, holding a candle.
It's the middle of the bloody night. For the sake of your neck, this had better be important.
It's Prince Jon. He's gone, my lord. Some peasants say they saw him leaving London through the south gate, heading for the coast. No doubt he's headed for Wales to make good on his plans.
As he processed the news, King Edward looked both enraged and deeply concerned.
The stubborn fool!
What are your orders, my lord? Should we try to bring him back?
No, it's too late! We'll only expose him to danger if we go after him. Damn it all!
King Edward pounded the wall with his fist.
He's on his own. We can only pray for him now.
It was the next morning. Outside of Rhiannon's cottage, a deer nibbled on some grass. Suddenly it looked up, scared. It watched as Rhiannon approached. She cleaned herself up now, looking much more like her normal self again. The deer didn't run from her.
Don't mind me, love. go back to your breakfast.
The deer went back to nibbling on grass as Rhiannon walked by, patting it gently on the back. Rhiannon suddenly stopped. She was looking at her cottage. It lay near ruin, covered with overgrowth.
Oh dear. You take a nap for a few years and everything goes to hell.
Moments later, Rhiannon pushed the door to her cottage open and peered inside. The inside of the cottage was covered in dust, overgrowth, and cobwebs. Rhiannon sneezed from all the dust.
Definitely could use a bit of spring cleaning.
Rhiannon went over to the heath. She said a few words,
Tan sactide, gwesioch catrev.
and a fire started immediately. She waved her hand and a broom rose off the floor. Rhiannon took hold of it and started sweeping. She began using magic and manual labor to repair her cottage. After a few moments, she had the cottage back in reasonable order. However, she found some stubborn black mold growing along the walls. Rhiannon tried to cast a spell to make it wither.
Gwyntoedd gran, enerior gwetariai.
But the spell didn't work.
Bloody hell. Come on, concentrate.
Rhiannon closed her eyes and tried again, concentrating harder.
Swick nedi en kilio seek.
Suddenly, black veins appeared under his skin as a green light shot out of her fingertips and burned the mold away, scorching the wall. Rhiannon didn't expect this. She yanked her hand back, making the green light stop. The black veins faded away. Rhiannon stood for a moment, shaking. She looked at her hand, frightened by the power she had accidentally unleashed.
Where did that come from?
Suddenly, Rhiannon made a curious face, sensing something.
He's here!
She rushed outside. Rhiannon emerged from her cottage as several riders approached. One of them was her son, Pryderi. He was a man in his 20s now. His uncle, King Aldith, was with him, along with another man wearing a large crown.
Pryderi!
Pryderi saw his mother and immediately jumped off his horse. They rushed over to each other and embraced.
Is it really you, Mother?
Rhiannon clutched his face and kissed him.
Let me look at you. By the spirits, you're a bloody man now.
Pryderi stared at her in shock. He gently touched her golden hair.
And you haven't aged a day, Mother.
Indeed. You look fair as ever.
Rhiannon saw Aldith and embraced him as well.
It's so good to see you, brother.
Rhiannon's attention shifted to the last rider, wearing the crown. This was King Llewellyn, a stout man in his 40s, with a confident but restless look in his eye.
So this is the legendary Rhiannon, the keeper of the night's secrets, queen of the Wicca. It's a great honour to meet you, Mom.
And who might you be?
Mother, this is our sovereign King Llewellyn, the leader of Wales.
I'm honoured, sir. Would you like to come in?
Moments later, Rhiannon and her visitors sat around a small table in the cozy cottage. Rhiannon served mead.
You'll have to excuse the mess. I'm still getting settled in.
A small snake slithered across the table past King Llewellyn's hand. Rhiannon looked embarrassed as she brushed the snake off the table.
Sorry about that, my lord.
Don't fret, Mom. I'm a man of Wales, raised on a farm with a harrow in my left hand and a sword in my right. You'll find no pretence with me.
I figured as much. So what brings you?
Wales needs you, Mom. War is upon us.
The King is uniting all the lords into an alliance under his banner, Mother.
Aye. I intend to reclaim all the land taken from us by the English. You're a woman, Rhiannon, who wields great and terrible powers. Your magic could be decisive in delivering us to victory.
The king speaks the truth. We need you, Rhiannon. The people adore you. The English tremble at the whisper of your name.
King Llewellyn nodded in agreement.
With your help, I have no doubt, we'll deliver a stinging defeat to that bastard Longshanks. What say you, Mom? Will you fight with us to save our homeland?
Rhiannon took a deep breath, thinking. She rubbed her hand, the one that had been afflicted when she tried to leave the woods. Finally, she shook her head.
I'm sorry. I just can't.
The men all looked at each other, surprised.
Mother, the king is asking for your help. How can you refuse him?
I refuse not lightly. I think your hearts are brave, but they beat too quick. We need to think. King Edward's no fool. He wants you to raise an attack, so he has an excuse to raise an army. I fear you're playing right into his designs.
With all due respect, Mum, I don't need military counsel from you. It's true the English outnumber us. That's why we need to hit them fast and hard, while their guard is still low. Surprise will give us the edge. Your powers could make all the difference.
I can't leave the woods.
Why not, Mother?
I can't. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be rude, my lord, but this plan is too bold. You're falling into a trap.
Is there no way I can convince you?
Afraid not.
King Llewellyn looked crushed.
I'm very sorry to hear that. I thought you loved your country.
I do. That's why I don't want you to bring her to ruin.
Rhiannon and King Llewellyn stared at each other for a moment. Then Llewellyn shook his head.
I'll take my leave then. Thanks for the mead, Mom.
King Llewellyn stood up from the table. Moments later, outside the cottage, King Llewellyn mounted his horse. Aldith and Pryderi lingered with Rhiannon.
Rhiannon, I know you're wise, but the king needs you. Please, reconsider.
You're going to get yourselves all killed.
Aldith hung his head and headed for his horse. Pryderi gave Rhiannon a sneer as he climbed on his mount.
Goodbye, Mother.
Pryderi, wait.
Pryderi ignored her.
Yeah.
The men rode off. Rhiannon watched them go. Sadness and anger flashed across her face. She let out a cry of rage and anguish. She threw her hands out, and a greenish light shot out of her fingers, striking down a tree. Rhiannon lashed out again, sending more bolts of green light out. The energy of her emotion was feeding on itself, driving her into a deeper, out-of-control state. Suddenly, her eyes fluttered. The black veins appeared under her skin. The skies above her began to boil with black clouds. Her hair darkened like the sky. She was dark Rhiannon again. At that moment, out at sea, Prince Jon sat aboard a small boat, struggling to steer it through the stormy gale. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning struck the mast of his ship. The mast snapped in two. Jon couldn't control the boat. A huge wave drove it into the rocks where it smashed to pieces. Prince Jon was thrown into the sea. He struggled to swim in the rough surf, and then sank beneath the waves. Meanwhile, in the forest, Dark Rhiannon continued her raging destruction. But then she caught a glimpse of her own reflection in a pool of water. She stared at her dark self for a moment in horror. Then she let out a cry of anguish. The darkness suddenly left her. She was normal again. She fell to her knees, weeping. End of Chapter 2. Stay tuned for the next episode of Midnight Caller, Rhiannon.